What's up, agents, and welcome back to another Division video, where today we're going to talk about an exotic that we have actually never really talked about on the channel before. Don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe, and let's get straight into it. Right, okay, so the reason I've never really talked about this exotic in question is that I don't really fit it into any of my builds whatsoever. Now, that's not saying that it's a bad exotic. It certainly isn't, but it doesn't go with my own personal play style, and I don't think it has a use case really above other exotics in the game, because we can only apply one exotic at once. You know, one armor, one weapon. So without kind of delaying the video anymore, let's take a look at the exotic in question. It's the brand new Exodus gloves. There's been a lot of chatter about these recently, and I think that's the exact reason that I've already give. They kind of came out this season and they don't really do anything great, but they're not rubbish either. They would have been terrible if they stuck with the original design, but they changed them so they were all red, which is, you know, kind of fantastic. And if you're wondering what exactly happens with these, it does the talent smoke screen. On armor break, drop a smoke bomb at your feet, concealing you from enemies for 3 seconds, and the cooldown is 40 seconds. Now, that cooldown is actually pretty short in reality, and it does give you, you know, a bit of a break. Exactly what it's meant to do. It's pretty good. It also takes you out of combat, which has some really good benefits too. I'll drop a video down below actually from Dodd, who went over all of these benefits recently. There's actually some pros and cons to some of these benefits depending on what you are using. For instance, the Chameleon is an absolute benefit because buffs refresh when you go out of combat, meaning that the buffs will actively refresh, which is great. Then for instance, like other sets like Negotiator's Dilemma, Aegis and Foundry Bulwark, that's a disadvantage because them sets are all about being in combat, so being taken out of combat actually resets it and makes you start all over again, which is actually pretty bad. So with all that said though, as long as you're not using it with any of them gear sets, this is kind of my preferable build when I would run them, if I was going to run them. I don't even have this loadout saved because I just wouldn't use it, because for me, if I'm going to use an exotic somewhere here, I would probably just use the Coyote's Mask. Now, I don't generally use that either, because as we stand right now, when we're running strikers, it's no advantage anymore since they changed the striker's backpack to run the striker's backpack. It's actually better to run, you know, a Grupo backpack, or, you know, or something else, you know, Seska, Grupo, and then run strikers everywhere else if you want more damage. This is very much an old way of running things now with the striker's backpack, and a lot of people still do because they kind of just stick with it. But it's, I think if I remember rightly, it's about a 10% decrease in damage, which is a significant amount, you know, when you look at it. Now, obviously there's the advantages of being expertise level 28 like I am here, which is 28% extra weapon damage on the actual weapon itself, which is actually really good. You know, that is really beginning to stretch. We're going to see 29%, 30% really soon, and I really don't know what they're going to do about that expertise grind, because we're just getting stronger and stronger. You know, this, when, you know, a year ago perhaps, when it was about 10% or 12% or whatever it was originally, you know, that's significantly lower. You know, 28 now is no slouch, so it's definitely worth working on that expertise. And same goes with the armor values nowadays. They're not quite there yet, but if you put 27 on all of them, which is a lot of work, by the way, I'm not underestimating how much materials is needed at that point for this, but I mean, not for me in my state at the moment, I have nothing else left to do. That's over that's a blue core. It's at 1.3 blue cores. I did a video about it where it was exactly the maths a while back, but it's about 1.3 blue cores, which again, once that starts getting to 2 blue cores and above, it's definitely going to be worth it. But I will get the grind in now because it's a significant grind if you've not started. Anyway, back to the Exodus gloves. So yeah, so they're not really my best in slot piece, even though they are crit chance, crit damage with a talent, which is actually pretty nice. I just wouldn't really use them in any of my builds. Now, maybe they're nice in maybe a sniper build or something like that to give you a bit of a reprieve if you're playing on legendary or a harder content or something like that. But for me, yeah, they just don't really fit into my game style. But that's not saying that they're not any good. I'm saying they are pretty good because they're crit hit, crit damage. They're all red. They fit in with most builds, and this is how I would run it. Now, this is a bit of a unicorn chest. I don't expect everybody to have this, but I do like the 10% armor on kill. that goes in line with the gunner armor on kill, giving this build some survivability. But by all means, you could just go in here and you could put a Seska chest on. That would be fine. You could put a Grupo chest on. That would also be fine. You could put something on like what I used to run a long time ago, a Bellstone chest if you want the armor regen. Yeah, lots of options here. I just like that little bit of extra survivability that this unicorn chest gives you. And this is one chest that if you're going to farm a unicorn, I absolutely recommend this is the kind of top tier unicorns that you should farm. It fits in with almost every build. Assault rifle, LMG, SMG, it just kind of fits in absolutely everywhere. So with all that said, that is the build. Let's have a look at the stats. 55 crit chance, 117 critical hit damage. Now, the Chameleon works really well here because, as you can see here, hitting 30 headshots grants 20% crit chance and 50% critical hit damage. It does mean really, we could lower our crit chance on this at the moment. It is 55%. I could probably take another mod out. For instance, if I've got a crit chance mod in one of these, this one here, we could perhaps put this one in and lower the stats a little bit and go up 49, knowing that we are definitely going to be getting to that 60% cap fairly easily from hitting the 30 headshots since they gave the Chameleon a buff. Then we've got hitting 65 body shots grants 90% weapon damage, which is huge. And then we get hitting 20 leg shots grants 150% reload speed again, which is huge, and it's probably the harder one to stack up. I find hitting legs harder than heads, really. It's a bit weird because they obviously have two of them and they move. So yeah, but we're going to stack them all up as much as we possibly can. But the buffs refresh when out of combat. So that's what's amazing about this, is that although it's only for 45 seconds, if we do get an armor break at any point in playing, the buffs will refresh and give us the full 45 seconds again, which is what's great about this. But I wouldn't plan on trying to proc this. I would just let it play out. I wouldn't actively try to proc it. I think if I actively try and proc it, I'll end up either killing myself or putting myself in excessive danger. It does mean because I've got a revive hive, I could play a little bit more dangerous like I always do anyway. I always tend to play dangerous while I've got my revive hive up and then play a little bit more cautious while it's on cooldown. Because, you know, I don't really like running too much with a shield anymore. I feel like it just slows us down when we are excessively powerful. A quick look at the build. Double crit damage on the mask. Double crit damage on the backpack. Crit chance on the knees. And crit damage on the holster. We've gone over the chest already with Obliterate on. You could run Glass Cannon if you're feeling extra spicy. But this is really around running the Chameleon. And you're going to have to play up close and personal because the Chameleon's optimal range is not the greatest. It does play out much more like an SMG. Alright, so let's go over to Lincoln Memorial because it's the easiest place to test and there's a lot of enemies very close. I probably just wouldn't take the Chameleon into any levels where there's long range involved, like some of the strongholds and things like that. I would just use the Lexington with this build instead. You know, playing the appropriate content, I think, is definitely the way to go here.
We need you to secure the memorial and remove the True Sons forces. If they maintain this outpost, the True Sons will be a direct threat to the campus.
Really, you should probably go for the leg shots first, then chest, and then head. But sometimes that's just not going to play out. Strongers are absolutely great for the Chameleon. Try and not burst our bubble there.
Additional hostiles in the memorial compound. They're moving south. There's a gate between you. It looks closed from here.
But as you can see, no problem getting that striker stack up to the top. And no problem getting the Chameleon stacked up to the top either. And there we go, we just refreshed. I can't see anything. There. We just refreshed our Chameleon stack by letting our armor pop meaning that we've kept it for that entire section also. So that's kind of an advantage, right? You're gonna, in sections where you might lose the stack, you're definitely going to keep them up a bit longer. And we're already, you know, over halfway on the cooldown on them gloves already. So if you're just kind of playing this run and gun play style, and this is how you play, like I'm almost about halfway now before I'm going to lose it again. So if I really wanted to, you kind of push your luck a little bit. There we go.
Medical assistance needed.
And we just got to refresh. And where's the last guy? There he is. Is he really going to do that to me?
All clear.
But essentially, because of how that's worked, you can see that we're at max constantly through the first 3 sections of Lincoln Memorial because of the gloves, because our armor just naturally got taken, which will happen a lot of the time. And that's why this is actually a pretty nice build. So like I said at the beginning of the video, they're not horrible, they're not terrible, but in certain situations, especially like this, with the Chameleon being top tier, it absolutely is. Give or take, it's, you know, it's issues with optimal range. If you're going to play up close and personal, you're going to play strikers, then it's an absolute W of a build. And yeah, they're actually well worth playing with. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Let me know, as always, what you think in the comments down below, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.